Hello. One of the things that we can encounter in life are threats. Now, threats take all sorts of forms, from a threat to our health, a threat to our children's education, a threat to prosecute us if we do something wrong. So some threats are positive. They put boundaries in our lives. And of course, sometimes we will be the person issuing a threat. So, for example, if you do that again, child, you will be on the naughty step. That sort of thing. Those sorts of threats, I remember as a parent being told, you always had to make threats that you were prepared to keep. So those are positive things, and they produce boundaries in our lives. And then, of course, some of the threats are about consequences to actions, so that sometimes it can be a danger of death in relation, say, to electronics. It could be if you eat too much of this, you're going to get fat, and so on. And they're realistic, just good pieces of information to know and to heed. Then there are negative threats. Unless you do this, then such and such a thing will happen. But that such and such thing is not a fact, it is a fear. So a threat linked to a fear can be an unhappy threat, a negative threat. Or it's a threat as a part of a piece of coercive activity. It can be perhaps an attempt to hurt somebody by threatening a course of action, to undermine them in some way, or to withdraw from a situation as a piece of aggressive activity, the threat of a resignation, for example. And it's these negative threats, unless they do this, I will do this sort of thing, which is related to aggression, to punishment, to revenge, to unforgiveness, to accusation, to a collection of emotions and actions which don't fit well with a Christian way of doing things. And if you look in the Bible, you will often see that psalmists and others are subject to threats to stop them being Christian. So, for example, the apostles at the beginning of Acts are warned not to speak about Jesus. And when they find that this is the case, they go back to God and they say, consider these threats. Help us to preach Jesus better. Sometimes it's more, just deliver me. Help, I'm feeling threatened, just deliver me. Or even in the case of, say, Elijah, I am overwhelmed with the pressure that Jezebel is putting on me, and I just want out, Lord. And then God, of course, steps in. The crucial thing, if we feel under pressure or threat, is to feed it back to God. And of course, Jesus knows all about what threats are. He had plenty of threats against him. and attempts to turn him aside from his mission before he went to the cross. We must be careful that we're not those people that give those sorts of threats, the emotional blackmail, the ultimatums. We must watch ourselves. Sometimes when we don't like something, we can, in effect, take our baton. I don't know if you know what that's like. When I was a child, the person, when you played a game, the person who owned the ball or the bat would take them home with them, and that was seen as that was the threat, because they were in control of the game if they owned the goods which you were using to play it with. And we can have that childlike tendency. We want to take our bat home. Oh, well, you didn't do the way that things that I wanted you to. Oh, you offended me or undermined me in some way. I felt undermined. So you take your bat home. You threaten to withdraw your support, your services. But you've got to turn around and say, so I'm being Zoom bombed by a fly here. Go on then. Not Zoom. Bombed anyway. Video bombed. Whatever you call it. It's summer. What we don't want to do is to be in that place where we're using threats as a form of blackmail or coercion, or that we're striking out at somebody else. That's not a Christian way of doing things. We're to bless those who curse us, do good to those who hate us, to pray for those who spitefully use us, and never expect other people to be perfect. We don't necessarily need to excuse their actions, we do need to forgive. There's a whole series of forgiveness which I've done recently, which you should be able to find on the Tardebigg Facebook page, or Cafe Church Tardebigg YouTube channel, or on my personal YouTube channel. Most of them are up there as well. So the Lord deliver us from being a threatening people. The Lord deliver us from being subject to negative and unhappy threats. And the Lord grant us grace to be considerate, to be kind, to be tolerant, to be compassionate, and not to take or hold on to offence, but to be supportive, involving, and community-minded, forgiving others as Christ forgave us. And let us not use taking offence as a weapon to get our own way. And certainly not the threat of some piece of action designed to impair the operation of something which is fundamentally good. The Lord deliver us from needing to be in control and reacting in a proud way when we feel that our pride, our status, our personality has in some sense been dishonoured. I'm kind of labouring this a bit so we can listen and test ourselves and ask the Lord to help us to be stronger in this area, so that we can work more harmoniously as God's chosen people, as his Christian church in this society. The Lord bless you as you review this message and see how it applies and how it doesn't. And the Lord give you accuracy in doing so. And the Lord give you grace to respond to others when they try and use any sort of threat to get their own way, and give you grace to see it for what it is and to know how to stand up against it without getting into a fight.